Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. It would be daft to be overly cynical so soon into Thomas Frank's Tottenham tenure, but the travelling Spurs faithful in Monaco did not have much to shout about all evening at Stade Louis II. The reaction of hardcore away supporters, who pay top money to follow their club over land and sea, is usually a good yardstick when trying to decipher the true mood and feeling of any fan base. It was all rather flat at times on Wednesday evening, and there were even a few audible groans when the odd Tottenham attack amounted to nothing, particularly in one instance when substitute Xavi Simons turned back and squandered the chance to launch a promising second-half counter. But dig deeper than that, and it's apparent there is a growing sense of frustration regarding recent performances, both of which have been rather bland following the conclusion of the international break. Frank is an excellent communicator and undoubtedly a smart, flexible, forward-thinking coach that has already overseen great success in the Premier League with Brentford. But this Tottenham project is arguably on a different stratosphere to what he has previously experienced in West London at the G-Tech. For starters, Spurs are the reigning Europa League champions, and there was huge optimism that their historic triumph in Bilbao could prove to be a significant turning point in the club's history. Prior to his bombshell exit, Daniel Levy publicly claimed he now wanted Tottenham to realise their full potential and push to win the Premier League or Champions League, respectively. At Brentford, Frank largely enjoyed a full week of preparation and training prior to domestic matches, and now he is having to juggle European fixtures. It's a difficult balance and challenge he'll have to navigate, and following his Monaco heroics, Guglielmo Vicario made it clear the team was struggling to combat the congested fixture list. Additionally, supporters online have raised concerns over several of Frank's press conference comments. Following the 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa, the Dane insisted the match had panned out the way he had expected. It was a narrow affair, won by 2 long-range strikes from Morgan Rogers and Emi Buendia, but the reality is, Tottenham should never have allowed the game to escape their grasp. Optically, it was a loss that appeared entirely avoidable. After the 2-2 draw at Bodo/Glimt, it was put to Frank that Spurs had dominated their Norwegian opponents on their own patch in May in the Europa League semi-finals. This time around it was, of course, a different story. Frank again acknowledged that he was not overly surprised to see this season's contest play out differently, as he noted Bodo were more aggressive in duels. The harsh reality is that Spurs supporters are unlikely to tolerate this line of analysis forever if results do not improve, or at least become more consistent. Furthermore, the Spurs boss did not appear to be overly concerned that Monaco had 23 attempts on Tottenham's goal on Wednesday, as it was effectively a one-off. But if it wasn't for Vicario's resilience between the sticks, they could have been left red-faced and on the receiving end of a brutal, morale-sapping beating. It's undeniably a tough month ahead with fixtures against Everton, Newcastle, Chelsea, Copenhagen, Manchester United and Arsenal on the horizon, and Spurs cannot approach any of these games lightly. Confidence levels are already low, and Frank needs to rally his troops and showcase why he is the right man to drive Spurs forward. He has it within his repertoire. It was hard not to be impressed by Magni Akliouchi's performance against Tottenham in midweek. Most of their endless waves of attacks seem to go through the talented French gem, who is a hub of creativity. Spurs were well aware of his quality earlier this summer, when he is understood to have featured during recruitment discussions. Nobody knows whether Tottenham were prepared to move, but Monaco wouldn't have sold anyway, as they'd already green-lighted Elias Ben Seguir's switch to Bayer Leverkusen. They lent more in the direction of Como's Nico Paz, and eventually landed Xavi Simons from RB Leipzig, having already brought Mohamed Kudus to the club from West Ham. Kudus has nailed down the right wing spot, but Akliouche is definitely capable of operating centrally as a number 10, even though he primarily features from the right. If they were willing to push the boat out on another forward signing, though it's highly likely they would favour signing a left winger more than any other position at the top end of the pitch, Akliouche should definitely be strongly considered. There is so much potential, and he already looks like a superstar in the making. When asked by Football.London whether he'd be keen on a Premier League move in the future, he admitted he'd be open to playing in England. We also understand he is already learning the language which certainly bodes well for the future. Football London attended Spurs U19's 4-2 win over Monaco at the League One side's training ground, and Wayne Burnett's side were rather impressive. Not just technically, but they also had to show mental toughness to record their third straight UEFA Youth League victory. Athletic Club, Chelsea, Club Brugge, Real Madrid and Barcelona have also claimed maximum points, but this Spurs youth side is littered with hungry talent. Luca Williams-Barnett featured as an attacking midfielder and showed flashes of brilliance, while left-back Harry Byrne, who signed a pro deal in May, also excelled. However, one prospect that really caught the eye was left-winger Tynan Thompson, who got himself onto the scoresheet whilst also showcasing his daring dribbling ability. Spurs are still arguably lacking a left-winger, though Wilson Odobert has made good progress in recent weeks. But it would be great to see Thompson earn a chance to impress, because he looks capable of knocking on the first-team door. He has 3 goals in 3 Youth League matches thus far, and was recently on the bench against Doncaster Rovers in the Carabao Cup. Joint sporting director Johan Lang was in the stands watching the victory on Wednesday afternoon, and he will certainly be feeding back information to Frank on Spurs' next generation of starlets. Williams-Barnett, Junai Byfield and Callum Olusisi, who captained the U19s against Monaco, were all on the bench for the first team on Wednesday evening. After criticism against Aston Villa, Vicario delivers a world-class performance to earn Spurs a vital Champions League point. If anyone was doubting Guglielmo Vicario's credentials as Tottenham's number 1, perhaps they won't be now. Just 3 days after his positioning was fiercely scrutinised for both of the goals, he conceded from distance against Aston Villa. The Italian led by example and provided a timely reminder of his quality between the sticks in Monte Carlo. There were 8 exceptional saves in total during a masterful goalkeeping clinic, and who knows how important this point might prove to be come the end of the Champions League group phase. Tottenham, at times, played like a team that were planning on using upcoming home matches against Copenhagen and Slavia Prague as an insurance policy. There were bursts of attacking promise and equally flashes of defensive vulnerability. And that is so far a fair depiction of Thomas Frank's Spurs. They remain a work in progress and were incredibly fortunate not to be beaten, even if Brennan Johnson did squander a golden, late opportunity to earn his side a fortuitous victory. Monaco's width and defensive structure provided Sebastian Pocognoli's front 3 with a licence to interchange, and shaky Tottenham were forced to ride a giant wave of first-half luck. Come the interval, the contest had effectively become a straight shootout between Vicario and former Arsenal frontman Folarin Balogun. First the Spurs. Number 1 denied the USMNT striker with his ribs, before he raced off his line and spread himself admirably to block the Monaco marksman's rasping close-range strike. Sloppy midfield play from Lucas Bergvall then almost cost Tottenham dearly. However, Vicario was once again equal to Balogun's low effort, and this diving stop was undoubtedly pick of the bunch. Frank's game plan appeared to be centred around counter-attacking and pragmatism. While Spurs missed Romero's leadership and experience, they embraced the chaos provided by replacement Kevin Danso's awkward long throws. One evaded Monaco goalkeeper Philippe Cohn, but Richarlison was unable to turn home at the far post. France international starlet Magnus Akliouche, who acknowledged on Tuesday that he was flattered to read reports of Tottenham's transfer interest during the summer, was a constant thorn in Tottenham's backline. His balance, vision and guile was a persistent nuisance between the lines, and Vicario made another credible save to deny the playmaker at his near post early in the second half. The Monaco barrage did not stop there either. Alexander Golovin was next to test Vicario before Monaco captain Thilo Kehrer, a Conference League winner with West Ham, headed narrowly wide. Minutes later, Jordan Tees looked destined to score from yet another header, but Vicario continued his heroics, palming the ball to safety. Former Liverpool attacker Takumi Minamino breathed new life into Monaco's dejected front line, and he went close on 3 separate occasions, twice blazing over and once wide. The host had an astonishing 23 shots on Tottenham's goal, but Spurs finished the stronger of the two sides and nearly nicked it when the ball found its way to Sub Johnson at the far post, but his shot was well blocked. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank defends Xavi Simons after a slow start. Just like Liverpool's £116 million Wirtz, the young star needs time to settle, but fans are starting to worry. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank says Xavi Simons will need time to settle, just like Florian Wirtz following his record move to Liverpool. Spurs paid RB Leipzig £52 million to sign Simons after missing out on Eberechi Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White. The Dutchman was also courted by Chelsea and arrived in the Premier League with a good reputation, having contributed 22 goals and 24 assists in 78 appearances for Leipzig. But he has made a sluggish start for Tottenham, with just 1 assist in 8 appearances so far, and that came from a corner in his first match on September 13th. His slow start is comparable to Wirtz, who is yet to record a single goal contribution in 10 games for Liverpool after they paid Bayer Leverkusen £116 million for his services. I think that's a very good question, and also a very good comparison with Wirtz, Frank said when presented with the comparison in a press conference before Spurs play Monaco on Wednesday. Also a very good player, just like Xavi, a very good player, coming into a new country, a new club, new city. They just need to settle in, and it is part of it. We're all getting judged every game, but we also need to see the little bit bigger perspective and see it over time. I always look for glimpses and bits of pieces we're working at. For example, Xavi. I think there were some good bits. Worked with him and asked him more to be arriving in the box, which when I looked at the game back he did. Was there the big eye-catching moment? Number. But there were good glimpses, so I think it's constantly going a bit in the right direction. Both Simons and Wirtz are playmakers who have been fielded in a number 10 position without much success so far. Liverpool play Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League on Wednesday night, following a run of 4 straight defeats. Wirtz came off the bench in the 2-1 defeat by Manchester United and played in central midfield, but once again couldn't make an impact. He started the Reds' last Champions League game against Galatasaray, but has only been used off the bench since then. Nevertheless, Arne Slot has hinted that he could be handed a start in Frankfurt. Special for Florian Wirtz as well to go back to Germany and play there, he said. Special for Jeremy Frimpong because he was also, like Florian and like Hugo Ekitike, so successful in Germany. For the 3 of them, it's nice to play in Germany again.